Bruce Roundpoint. My Mohawk name is Tohosanate, which means bright name. May 3rd, 52. I played, I very seldom gave up. I played with my heart. I was a very tough player. I was not the biggest player, but I was very tough, and very seldom I lost a fight, if any, in a lacrosse game. And back then, lacrosse players played two ways, up and down. When you don't have the ball, you're on defense. When you have the ball, you're on offense. And I got a lot of goals, and then I stopped a lot of goals. I was, you know, it's when you lose the ball, you don't run off. You make sure that you defend it, and then when your team gets the ball back, then you get off. That was the way we played. I played for mostly Cornwall Island teams, and then when we got into the midget age, it was always a combined St. Regis team. Then from there, the St. Regis Braves, and I went my junior career with St. Regis Braves, and then I went from there to play for Jim Bishop, Montreal Les Quebecois, in 1975. Pure hell. I'd never played for such an intense coach, and he wasn't mean, but he was so disciplined and strict that he caught me off guard, because I didn't realize that that's the way the coaches in the pro leagues or in the senior A leagues coach. They you know, they want discipline on their teams, and they don't want no lollygaggers. I mean, if you're gonna lollygag, you don't last long. And you know, in Montreal, I see guys come and go that would probably be starters on any senior A team, and because they couldn't take Jim Bishop. And actually, after a while, I might have played maybe a month into the program, and I couldn't take him anymore, and I quit. I just up and quit and went back to Steele. And then I think I don't know how long I was off, maybe 3 weeks at the most, and then my buddy Ernie and I played together since Pee-wees all the way up to senior, pro, and senior, and he says they want to know if you want to come back. So I decided, yeah, I'll go back, and then I basically knuckled down, and I stuck with the program, and I took his whatever he gave me, and I you know, I says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I did. I stuck it out. And 1 week I was player of the week, which, you know, didn't surprise me, but I was so proud of what I accomplished. It was within, I think, 2 weeks of coming back. And then I was player of the week. And then we went into the playoffs, and we played Boston, and I think we went the full seven games with Boston, but we beat them. But in the process, we lost our best goalie, which was Ernie back then. When I first seen him, he came to Cornwall and brought his Oshawa Green Gales here to play against an all-star team before I was a junior, and I watched, and it was just awesome the way he coaches his teams. And then I coached the junior B team here, and then he brought his midget team and basically kicked our ass here. With a midget team, he kicked our juniors, and but only for 2 periods. But after 2 periods, he was so far ahead, but the 3rd period we won. And I was proud of that, and he actually was proud of what we did in the 3rd period. But his game is so different than what we played around here. It's almost like playing against the Harlem Globetrotters in basketball. You don't know what the hell to expect. When we played Quebec City at the Quebec Caribou in the finals in the Pro League, we had 14,500 people in the Quebec Coliseum. I think that was one of the highlights because I never dreamed about, playing to that many people. I mean, you walk into Cornwall, there's 50,000 people, but you don't see 14,000 of them standing on one corner. So it's it was awe-inspiring, and I didn't realize that the French people liked lacrosse so much, and they did. And then the next moment was in Boston during the playoffs. We would get our names called out, and when they called my name out to go on the floor, I heard probably, I don't know how many thousands of people boo me. And I says, you know what, I've arrived. When the fans from another team boo you, then you know you're doing something right. But we had some bad games back then. We had bench clearing brawls. We had fans on the floor fighting other fans. And when you go to a game and you got a dozen police officers in the building, you know it's going to be a rough game. I coached the junior B team, and then I coached the senior A team. I coached the Thunder to the finals in the what do you call it, senior A league here. And if we would have beat Brampton, we would have went on to the Mann Cup. But like everything else in lacrosse, when you lose key players to injuries, you're just not there. We lost our top defenseman. We lost some of our offense through injuries, and we couldn't compete against Brampton after that. But we went 7 games with Peterborough. We were down 3-0, and we ended up winning 4 straight. And I'm not sure, but I think every game that was won is that the team that got to the number 10 first always won. I'm not sure, but I remember that. But I took over coaching. I would say midstream, and when I first started, I won the first 5 games, lost 1. Then I won the next 5 games. It seemed like I would go in spurts of 5 games, win 5 in a row, then lose, 5 in a row and lose. And then we actually, ended up in the playoffs and almost to the Mann Cup. That was in the late 90s. And I mean, I had John Tavares playing for me. I had Mikey Benedict, I had Owen Bennett. I had good players. I had excellent play. Well, John, he's probably considered the best lacrosse player right now, or was. He's retired now. The best player I played against was Jimmy J.J. Johnson from Peterborough. To me, I think he was one of the best players back then in the 70s. And another player, John Grant Sr. Yeah, whenever he wound up, you either know it's going to hit the post or go in. And other than that, I mean, there were so many. It's hard to figure out who. Travis Cook was another one. I played against him. He actually ended up beating us, and he went to Quebec City from Syracuse. He started out with the Stingers, and then the Stingers moved to Quebec, but they changed it to the Caribou. And the one thing that always impressed me is that the two final teams, Quebec and Montreal Quebecois, had all the natives on both teams. Like we had, I think, 3 or 4 on our team, and then what do you call it? The Caribou had the same amount, 3 or 4. And I always thought that was so neat to be playing off against each other. Yeah, Johnny Davis. Well, I played with him in Montreal. We used to call him the shooter. Well, they call him the shooter. And then I asked one guy someday, I said, why do they call him the shooter? I said, they said, look at his stats. He's the top scorer in the league, but he takes the most shots, and he's got the worst percentage. so I guess the more you shoot, the more chances you got to score. But he was a good player. He was a good player. You you couldn't take the ball away from him if you tried. I mean, he was like Gumby. He was like made out of rubber. Like you couldn't knock him off his feet, and he was just a good player. And probably the next best guy that I played with, I'm not going to say the next best. The best was Ernie Mitchell. He was always our goalie, and without him, I don't think I would have got as far, because we helped each other. I knew how he played, and he knew how I played, and whenever he had the ball, I knew exactly where to run, and that ball would be there. Or if he what do you call it? If he made a save, he would always go to his special guys. He would pick one of the defensemen, shoot, and then they would, shoot up to the crease or something. And more often than not, we ended up with a goal just by Ernie starting it off. I think the future is going to be good. Like I noticed that at least the pro leagues now, you can see their names in the papers and where they're playing, who they won, and stuff like. Before that, it was strictly a summer game, and I think and Jim Bishop always said if lacrosse was played in the wintertime, it would be as big as hockey. And he says, who wants to sit in an arena in the summertime to watch lacrosse? That was always his point of view. But I think lacrosse is a sport that'll never die. It's like a trend, but lacrosse, I think it's here to stay.